The night my mother called me selfish, I was sitting beneath a chandelier I had paid to keep lit. I had covered her electricity, gas, water, internet, and property tax shortage for 14 straight months. I had also paid the deposit for my younger brother's wedding, even though his fiancée had removed me from the family table 2 weeks earlier. My father knew. My brother knew. Half the relatives at Thanksgiving knew enough to avoid looking at me. Still, my mother smiled across the table and said, "Claire could do so much more for this family if she were not so obsessed with herself." My brother laughed into his wine. My father stared at the turkey. I unlocked my phone, opened 5 automatic payments, and canceled every one of them before dessert reached the table. Then I raised my glass and said, "You are about to discover exactly how selfish I have been." The lights did not go out that night, but the lie holding my family together did. My name is Claire Bennett. I was 34 years old, living in Columbus, Ohio, and working as a regional operations planner for a grocery distribution company. My job was to prevent ordinary problems from becoming expensive emergencies. At work, people respected my ability to find hidden waste. At home, they used it. My parents, Dennis and Marjorie Bennett, lived 2 hours away in a large, split-level house outside Dayton. It had 4 bedrooms, a finished basement, and a sunroom nobody used. Logan and I had moved out years earlier, yet my parents refused to consider anything smaller. Marjorie said the house was where the family gathered. What she meant was that the house allowed her to stage photographs, proving the family was close. Every family celebration took place beneath the same polished chandelier, with Marjorie in the center, Logan beside her, my father behind them, and me wherever I least disturbed the picture. Logan was 4 years younger than I was, but he grew up as the child everyone protected. He was funny, handsome, impulsive, and permanently one opportunity away from success. When he dropped out of community college, Marjorie said classrooms had never understood him. When he quit 3 jobs in 1 year, she said managers felt threatened by confidence. When he borrowed money, she called it a temporary bridge. When I worked weekends during college, she called me overly serious. When I earned a scholarship, she said I had always been lucky. When I declined vacations because I was paying student loans, she reminded relatives that I did not know how to enjoy life. My father rarely agreed with her openly, but he almost never challenged her. Dennis spent 31 years repairing equipment for a regional hospital system. He was gentle, tired, and skilled at disappearing inside newspapers whenever conflict began. If Marjorie asked him whether something was fair, he usually said, "Whatever keeps the peace." Peace in our house meant Logan was comforted, Marjorie was admired. Dennis remained quiet, and I absorbed the cost. As a child, I did not understand favoritism as an idea. I understood it as 1,000 small instructions. Logan received the larger bedroom, chose restaurants, and got a car at 16. When he forgot our mother's birthday, she called boys absent-minded. When I brought a handmade gift with the wrong ribbon, she asked why I never paid attention. My role was not simply to succeed. It was to succeed quietly enough that my success never made Logan look unsuccessful. At 17, I earned admission to Ohio State with financial aid. Marjorie reacted by asking whether I could commute from home and help Logan with homework. I moved into a dorm anyway. She called me selfish for the first time that week. I cried in the laundry room, apologized the next morning, and spent 4 years driving home whenever the family needed something. I edited Logan's resumes, fixed my parents' accounts, and sent money whenever an expense became urgent. By graduation, I was the person everyone called before solving anything themselves. I did not notice how abnormal that was because usefulness brought temporary affection. Marjorie called me her rock after I paid a surprise car repair. Dennis told me he did not know what they would do without me. Logan texted, "Best sister alive," after I covered his rent. For a few days, I felt included. Then the emergency passed, gratitude faded, and I returned to being the daughter who did not visit enough. The utility payments began during a January cold snap. I was 33, recently promoted. and working late from my apartment when Marjorie called at 11:14. Her voice sounded frightened. The gas company had delivered a disconnection notice. She said Dennis's pension adjustment had been delayed and an automatic payment had failed. "It is embarrassing," she whispered. "Please do not tell your father I called." I asked how much. She said $612. I paid it directly while we were still on the phone. 10 minutes later, she sent 3 heart emojis and wrote, "I do not know what I would do without my girl." I slept badly but felt useful. The following month, the electric bill was overdue. Then the internet. Then water. By spring, I had added my card to 4 accounts because Marjorie said repeated calls embarrassed Dennis. I began receiving payment alerts every month. The amounts were never catastrophic by themselves. 300 here, 400 there, a reconnect fee, a winter surcharge, a cable package my mother insisted my father needed for sports. The total climbed quietly. I created a spreadsheet after the 5th payment because numbers felt safer than admitting my parents might be using me. By Thanksgiving, 14 months later, I had paid $8,936 in utilities, fees, and household expenses. That did not include groceries, medication copays, the refrigerator repair, or the $4,000 Marjorie had requested for property taxes. Every request arrived wrapped in family language. "We only have you. Logan has children to think about. You make good money. A daughter should want her parents comfortable." Logan lived 15 minutes away from them with his fiancée, Tessa, and her 6-year-old son, Mason. He earned decent money selling commercial flooring, but his paycheck disappeared into a lifted pickup truck, sports betting, restaurant meals, and the wedding he and Tessa were planning. Whenever I asked why he could not help our parents, Marjorie became offended. "He has a family," she said. Apparently living alone meant I had no family, only available income. The wedding made everything worse. Logan proposed to Tessa at a winery and posted the video before calling me. Marjorie immediately created a family group chat titled Bennett Wedding Dream Team. Within hours, she assigned me to track the budget, compare venues, create vendor spreadsheets, manage hotel rooms, and design the wedding website. Tessa thanked me warmly at first. She said Logan had told her I was the organized one. I spent evenings reviewing contracts and weekends visiting venues. When their preferred barn required a $10,000 deposit, Logan said his commission check was delayed. Marjorie called me privately. "You know how much this means to him," she said. "You can put it on your card, and they will reimburse you after the gifts come in." I said gifts were not guaranteed, she replied. "Do not be negative on the happiest occasion of your brother's life." I paid $6,000 of the deposit after Logan promised to cover the remainder. He never did. I also paid the photographer's first installment and the shuttle reservation because both deadlines arrived during another one of his cash flow weeks. Each payment increased my authority on paper and reduced my importance in person. Tessa began making decisions without telling me, then expected me to repair the consequences. The hotel block expired, the guest count changed, and I fixed everything. Yet when the formal invitation arrived, I discovered I had been placed at table 19 with the photographer, the DJ's wife, and 3 distant cousins. The family table listed Marjorie, Dennis, Logan, Tessa, Mason, Tessa's parents, and Logan's best friend. I assumed it was a mistake. Tessa answered carefully when I called. "We needed people with positive energy closest to us." "Am I not family?" "Of course you are. Then why am I seated with vendors?" Silence. Then she said Marjorie believed I had been stressed and might benefit from sitting away from family tension. I called my mother. She said, "Claire, do not turn seating into a referendum on your childhood." That sentence told me they had discussed more than a seating chart. I paid the venue deposit, and we are grateful. I built the website, negotiated the hotel block, and fixed the catering count. Nobody asked you to take over. You assigned me every task. Because you like control. There it was. My competence had become aggression the moment I expected belonging in return. I did not threaten to withdraw money. I did not create a scene. I told her I would attend as a guest and would no longer manage unpaid wedding work. She called me selfish. Logan sent a text 10 minutes later. Please do not punish Tessa because you need attention. I stared at those words until my hands stopped shaking. Then I forwarded every login, vendor contact, balance, and deadline. I removed myself from the wedding group chat and turned off notifications. They lasted 6 days before asking for help again. I declined. Marjorie posted a photograph of Logan and Tessa tasting cake with the caption, "Some people create joy, others only criticize it." Relatives liked it without knowing I had paid the bakery deposit. I saved the screenshot, not because I planned revenge, but because I was beginning to understand that my family edited reality in public and expected me to preserve the original version in silence. Thanksgiving took place 3 weeks before the wedding. It was also my father's retirement celebration, though Marjorie had turned most of the evening into a pre-wedding family gathering. She sent a group message asking everyone to wear autumn colors for photographs. She also texted me privately, "Please send the electric payment before you arrive. The account is acting strange again. And do not bring up money tonight. Your father deserves peace." I checked the account. The bill was $648 because the house still used an outdated heating system, and Marjorie kept the sunroom warm even when nobody entered it. I did not pay. I replied, "We can discuss a budget after dinner." She sent, "Do not start." On the drive from Columbus to Dayton, rain moved across the highway in silver lines. On the passenger seat sat my father's restored childhood toolbox, a gift I had spent 2 months repairing. I still wanted the evening to be normal. When I arrived, Dennis hugged me and said, "You made it," as though I were a delivery delayed by weather. Marjorie air-kissed my cheek, then whispered, "Did you take care of electric?" Logan stood near the kitchen island showing relatives' honeymoon photographs for a trip that had not happened yet. "Big money is here," he called when he saw me. Several people laughed. Tessa gave me a nervous smile. I placed the toolbox beneath the gift table and asked whether I could help with dinner. Marjorie handed me a tray before I removed my coat. During appetizers, she praised Logan for stopping by earlier in the week to move a patio chair. Dennis said Logan had always been dependable in a crisis. I looked at the chandelier glowing above them and thought about every month my card had kept the house connected. I said nothing. At dinner, relatives filled the long table. Marjorie seated Logan and Tessa beside my father. I sat near the far end between Aunt Carol and a cousin I had not seen in 5 years. The wedding seating arrangement had already begun. Dennis gave a short speech about retirement. He thanked Marjorie for standing beside him, Logan for always keeping life interesting, and the family for gathering. He did not mention me. I told myself he was nervous. Then Marjorie raised her glass and began praising the family values she believed had held everyone together. "We all contribute in different ways," she said. "Logan brings joy and keeps us connected. Tessa has brought new life into the family. Claire has done well professionally, of course." Of course, the qualifier entered the room before the insult. But success can make people forget that family requires sacrifice. Claire could do much more if she were not so focused on herself. Forks paused. Logan looked down and smiled. Tessa studied her napkin. My father stared at his plate. I heard the refrigerator running in the next room. I thought about the gas bill, the electricity, the wedding deposit, table 19, the public captions, the restored toolbox beneath unopened gifts, and every time I had been called strong when someone wanted me to carry more. Something inside me became completely calm. "How much more?" I asked. Marjorie laughed lightly. "Do not be dramatic. You said I could do more. How much more would make me family?" The room tightened. "This is your father's dinner." "Then why insult me during it?" Logan leaned back. "Mom is saying you act like helping makes you a saint." I turned toward him. "How much did you contribute to Mom and Dad's utilities this year? That is not the point." "How much?" "I help in other ways. You moved one patio chair." Aunt Carol coughed to hide a laugh. Marjorie's expression hardened. "Claire, Stop humiliating your brother. You humiliated me first. I made an observation. Then let us use facts. I unlocked my phone and opened the spreadsheet. 14 months. Electric, $2,612. Gas, $1,840. Water and sewer, $918. Internet and phone, $1,406. Property, tax shortage, $4,000. Reconnect fees, late charges, and emergency payments. The remainder. Total household support, $8,936, excluding groceries, medication, and repairs. My father looked up sharply. What? Marjorie whispered. Put that away. Dad, did you know? Dennis looked at her, then at me. Your mother said you helped with a few bills. Your house stayed warm because I paid gas for 6 months. Your internet remained connected because my card was on the account. The property taxes were covered because Mom said your pension adjustment had not arrived. His face changed. My pension adjustment arrived in March. The table went silent. I turned toward Marjorie. Where did the money go? Do not interrogate me. I am asking why you kept saying the pension was delayed. Households have expenses. Then show me the budget. Logan pushed his chair back. This is disgusting. You cannot put a price on family. I looked at him. You did when you sent me the wedding deposit. Tessa looked toward him. You said your parents covered that. They are family funds, he said. No, I replied. They are my funds. Marjorie stood. Enough. Not yet. I opened the wedding folder. Venue deposit, $6,000. Photographer, $2,400. Shuttle, $900. Bakery deposit, $600. Total unpaid wedding support, $9,900. Tessa's face lost color. You told me your commission paid the venue. Logan snapped. Why does it matter who paid? Because you lied, she said. He turned toward me. You wanted to play hero. I wanted to help my brother get married. Then stop keeping score. I started keeping score when helping bought me a seat with the vendors. Relatives began looking at one another. Marjorie said the seating was Tessa's decision. Tessa immediately replied. You told me Claire would make the family table tense. My mother's face went white. That was private. So was every bill until you called me selfish in public. Dennis rubbed both hands over his face. Marjorie, why was Claire paying everything? Because she can afford it. There was no apology inside the answer. Only entitlement. Logan has a child. We have retirement expenses. Claire lives alone. She earns more than she needs. I felt the last piece of doubt leave me. Who decides what I need? Families should not need permission to survive. You are not surviving. You are maintaining a 4-bedroom house, premium cable, 2 cars, and a wedding you cannot afford. Logan pointed at me. You are jealous because nobody is building a life with you. The cruelty landed exactly where he aimed it. I had spent years wondering whether living alone made me less complete in my family's eyes. He knew. Marjorie knew. That was why they used the phrase, only yourself, every time they wanted money. I looked at him and said, I would rather live alone than make another person responsible for funding the image of my adulthood. Tessa's eyes filled with tears. Logan stood. Do not speak about my relationship. Then stop billing me for it. My phone was already in my hand. I opened the electric account first and removed my card, then gas, water, internet, and the shared household payment I had created for emergencies. Each confirmation appeared quietly. No dramatic sound, no lightning, just ordinary screens closing doors that should never have remained open. Marjorie watched my thumb move. What are you doing? Ending the automatic payments. Tonight? You said I do not do enough. Starting now, you can experience exactly how little I contribute. You would let your parents sit in the dark? No. You have income, savings, and a son 15 minutes away. You may have to make choices. Logan laughed without humor. You are threatening elderly parents. Dennis said. I am 63, not 90. It was the first time he challenged Logan all evening. Marjorie stared at him. Whose side are you on? He looked at her with exhaustion. I am trying to understand why our daughter paid almost $9,000 while you told me the bills were handled. She began crying. I was trying to protect you from stress. By lying to me, you would have worried. I should have worried. It is my house. The shift was small but real. For the first time, my father's silence stopped protecting her. Aunt Carol asked whether anyone had seen a budget. Marjorie accused the family of ganging up on her. I said, "The truth feels coordinated when several people have been told different lies." Logan called me vindictive. I raised my glass just enough for the ice to move. You are about to discover exactly how selfish I have been. No one laughed. My phone buzzed with an email notification. I almost ignored it. The sender was Elena Ruiz, Vice President of Network Operations at my company. I opened it beneath the table. The first sentence read, "We are pleased to offer you the position of Director of Midwestern Distribution Strategy, based in Minneapolis." I had interviewed 3 weeks earlier and told no one in my family. The role came with a significant raise, relocation support, and responsibility for 6 distribution centers. I had nearly withdrawn because Marjorie kept saying my parents needed me close as they aged. Sitting at that table, I understood the request differently. They did not need my presence. They needed my availability. "I received a promotion," I said. The room paused again. Dennis blinked. "Tonight?" "Just now. Director position. Minneapolis." Marjorie's face moved through surprise, pride, and fear. "Minneapolis is too far." "For what?" "For us. You do not visit me in Columbus unless you need something." "That is not true." "When was the last time you came?" She could not answer. Logan scoffed. "So this whole performance is because you are moving and think you are better than us." "No, this dinner showed me why I was afraid to accept." "You cannot make a decision while emotional," Marjorie said. I almost laughed. Every late bill had been treated as an emergency requiring immediate payment, but my career needed careful delay. "I am not emotional," I said. "I am clear." Dennis looked at me. "Are you going to take it?" "Yes." Saying the word aloud felt like stepping into cold air after years inside an overheated room. Marjorie asked who would help if something happened. "You, Dad, and Logan will make a budget. Sell 1 car, reduce the cable package, use 1 bedroom instead of heating every room. Consider moving to a smaller house." She looked horrified. "This is our family home." "Then fund it as a family." Logan said he could not take on extra expenses before the wedding. Tessa looked at him. "The wedding is in 6 weeks, and we just learned your sister paid almost $10,000 you said came from commissions." He told her they would discuss it privately. "No," she said. "You made her money part of our wedding. We discuss it now." Mason entered from the den asking for dessert. Tessa took his hand, gathered her coat, and told Logan she was staying with her sister. He accused me of destroying the wedding. I said, "The person who told the truth did not create the lie." Marjorie cried that her retirement dinner had been ruined. Dennis finally looked at her. "It was my retirement dinner." The sentence silenced everyone. He walked to the gift table, opened the package I had brought, and lifted out his father's restored toolbox. His hands trembled as he touched the new latch. "You did this?" he asked. "Yes." "How long?" 2 months. He looked at Marjorie, then at the bills on my screen, then back at the toolbox. "I am sorry I did not ask about your life." It was not enough to repair anything, but it was the first sentence that recognized me instead of my money. "Thank you," I said. I left before dessert. I did not clear plates, soothe my mother, fix the wedding, or drive Tessa home. In the car, I placed the phone on silent and accepted the Minneapolis offer. Then I sat in my parents' driveway while rain moved across the windshield. Through the window, I could see Marjorie pacing, Logan arguing, Dennis sitting alone beside the toolbox, and relatives gathering coats. For years, I had believed the family remained stable because I helped quietly. The truth was that my silence had allowed instability to wear a nice sweater and pose for photographs. The calls began before I reached the highway. Marjorie. Logan. Aunt Carol. My father. Tessa. I answered only Tessa because Mason was involved. She told me she had checked the wedding accounts. Several balances were unpaid. Logan had hidden credit card debt and used part of her savings to cover the honeymoon. Did you know? She asked. No. Your mother said you would handle whatever came up. I will not. I am not asking you to. She began crying. I need to understand what is real. I told her every payment I had made and forwarded receipts. She thanked me and said she was postponing the wedding. Logan sent 23 messages that night. He moved from rage to blame to pleading. You always hated that Mom loved me. Mason is asking why you ruined everything. Tessa will leave because of you. At least cover the venue so we do not lose the deposit. I did not answer. Marjorie sent a photograph from my childhood of us decorating a Christmas tree. Beneath it she wrote, "Remember who has always loved you." I replied once, "Love should not require autopay." Then I turned off my phone. 2 days later, Marjorie posted the Thanksgiving photograph taken before dinner. I appeared at the far end, partially hidden behind Aunt Carol. Her caption read, "Some seasons reveal who values family and who values success." Relatives began messaging me. A few defended her. Others asked what had happened. I sent no public explanation. I had already told the truth to the people present. Defending myself online would have returned me to the role of managing her story. Dennis called from his own phone. Your mother and I reviewed the accounts, he said. We have enough income. We were spending badly. Did you know she asked me not to tell you? No. Did you truly know nothing? He became quiet. I knew she called you when things went wrong. I did not ask how often because the bills kept disappearing. That is not the same as knowing nothing. No, he said. It is choosing not to know. The honesty hurt, but it mattered. He said they had canceled premium cable, reduced the internet plan, and scheduled an energy audit. They were also considering selling the house in spring. He did not ask me for money. Before hanging up, he said, I should have protected you from becoming responsible for us. You should have protected me from believing. Responsibility was the only reason you called. We began rebuilding cautiously. Logan's wedding remained postponed. Tessa discovered enough financial dishonesty to move out permanently. She did not blame me. Logan did. He lost the venue deposit, sold the lifted pickup, and moved into my parents' basement. Marjorie initially treated him like a victim. Then the first electric bill arrived without my card. Dennis placed it on the table and told Logan that 3 adults would divide expenses. Logan complained that he was saving to repair his relationship. Dennis replied, "Paying for the house you live in is part of repairing yourself." Aunt Carol told me that Marjorie looked stunned. The family system did not collapse when I left. It adjusted around the absence of free labor. Minneapolis was colder than Columbus and more beautiful than I expected. On my first night in the company apartment, I realized nobody knew where I lived well enough to appear with a bill. I cried at the kitchen counter. Freedom sometimes arrives wearing loneliness before you recognize it. 3 months later, I rented an apartment with tall windows overlooking a tree-lined street. I placed a ceramic bowl I had made years earlier on the dining table and filled it with oranges. It was the kind of object Marjorie would have accepted without opening if another expense waited behind it. In my home, it was simply beautiful. My father visited first. He asked in advance, booked his own hotel, and brought the restored toolbox because he said it belonged near the person who had restored it. I told him to keep it. He said, "I want you to know, I see the work now." He admitted he had used quietness to avoid responsibility. Your mother was louder, Logan was needier, and you were capable, he said. I told myself you were fine because asking would have forced me to act. I listened. He listened. That was enough for a beginning. Marjorie took longer. Her first apology arrived in a voicemail filled with explanations. She had been worried. She had felt alone. She had not realized how much I paid. She said I should understand a mother's pressure. I did not respond. Her second apology arrived in a letter 2 months later. I called you strong whenever I wanted permission to ask for more, she wrote. I protected Logan from shame because he punished me with anger. You punished me only by becoming quiet, so you were safer to disappoint. I told relatives you were distant because admitting you had pulled away from being used would have made me responsible. I am sorry. There was no request at the end. No mention of money. No question about when I would visit. I called her a week later. We spoke for 20 minutes. When she asked about my job, I answered. When she began discussing Logan's problems, I said, "That is not my responsibility." She stopped. The pause that followed was uncomfortable and necessary. Logan called 6 months after Thanksgiving. He had found a job coordinating warehouse deliveries and moved into a small apartment. He said he was not calling for money. I replied that saying it first made me think about money. He laughed weakly. Then he apologized for the dinner, the wedding seat, and the message about nobody building a life with me. "I knew where to cut," he said. "I wanted you to feel as small as I felt when the payments were exposed. You lied to Tessa. Yes. You let Mom use me as your backup. Yes. You mocked me while my money funded your wedding. Yes." I let each answer remain. Then he asked whether we could ever be siblings again. "We never stopped being siblings," I said. "What ended was your access to the version of me who paid to keep that relationship peaceful. How do I fix it? You live honestly whether I am watching or not." He did not like the lack of a faster solution, but he accepted it. The wedding never happened. Tessa eventually married someone else, and I attended because she invited me as a guest, not as a financial plan. Logan remained involved in Mason's life, but had to earn trust without using gifts he could not afford. Marjorie stopped posting inspirational captions about family. She sold the large house with Dennis and moved into a smaller condo near a park. The first winter there, she sent me a photograph of a paid electric bill with the message, "We handled it." I smiled, not because her competence was extraordinary, but because responsibility had finally returned to its owner. My relationship with my parents is limited and more honest. I visit twice a year. I stay at a hotel. No account carries my card. If a genuine emergency occurs, they ask directly and accept that I may say no. Dennis calls every Sunday, sometimes only to discuss weather or baseball. Marjorie asks about my work and occasionally listens through an entire answer. Logan and I exchange messages. We are not close, but we no longer pretend closeness can be purchased by whoever transfers money first. The greatest change happened inside me. For years, I thought being needed proved I belonged. Every bill was a ticket back into the family. Every emergency made me temporarily important. They called me generous after the payment, then selfish whenever I hesitated. I kept trying to earn permanent love through temporary rescue. That arrangement could never succeed, because people who value access more than the person will always need another payment. My boundary did not destroy my family. It revealed which relationships could survive without my money. Some became smaller. Some improved. Some ended. All became more accurate. I did not win because my parents downsized, Logan lost his wedding, or Marjorie faced embarrassment. Those were consequences, not trophies. I won when I accepted the promotion without asking whether everyone else would manage. I won when I stopped treating another adult's overdue notice as evidence that I was a bad daughter. I won when I allowed my mother to cry without immediately paying to make the feeling disappear. I won when I understood that self-worth is not selfishness, and family loyalty does not require becoming the least protected person in the room. There is a sentence I wish someone had told me at 17. When people praise you for being strong, ask whether they are celebrating your strength or using it as an excuse to offer less. Strength should create choices, not obligations. Generosity should feel voluntary, not like a monthly tax for being loved. Helping family can be beautiful, but helping without limits can teach everyone, including you, that your value is measured by how much discomfort you prevent. You are allowed to let capable adults feel the weight of their own decisions. You are allowed to keep your paycheck, accept the promotion, live far away, turn off autopay, and refuse to explain the same boundary until everyone approves. Their disappointment is not proof that your decision is wrong. Sometimes, disappointment is simply the first bill they have been forced to pay themselves. So tell me honestly, if your parents and favored sibling had used your income for years, excluded you from the family table, and then called you selfish in front of everyone, would an honest apology eventually be enough to rebuild the relationship? Or would you keep loving them from a distance and never give them financial access again?